Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyper hyped to announce tonight's guest. I'm talking to the one, the only, the Cliff Harrison. Sir, how are you doing? You good?
Thanks. I'm doing good. You?
Mate, 5x5. In the words of Tim Strange, too blessed to be stressed. So it's all good. Mate, obviously, first of all, thank you for coming on. Thanks for chatting. Obviously, I've seen you at Blackheart a few times. Obviously, I've started coming down to UKW on a regular basis now, so I'm seeing you there in action. Obviously, I felt compelled to reach out and be like, do you fancy a chat?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I didn't know. I think I might have seen you in Blackheart a little bit now and then, but it's mostly the UKW one recently. I've really got to start talking to you a little bit more, so
that's it. I think,
pleasure.
I've only been able to make it to like one Blackheart. I've obviously kind of clocked you when they was doing the weekly stuff and putting the shows on YouTube every month kind of thing. I've made it over there once, which is a shame because I want to get there all the time, but it's about 50 minutes away from me kind of thing in the car. It's a bit of a trek over sometimes. But dude, obviously, we'll get to Blackheart in a minute. Obviously, we'll do the generic stuff at some point as well, but obviously, first thing I want to talk about is, you had the big match at the weekend against Sigma
It did.
at UKW. I've seen highlights on your Insta. Obviously, anybody who hasn't seen the match in full, go to Cliff's Insta. Check out. It's about 2.5 minute sort of reel of highlights from the match on there.
Yeah, I think the entire match might have been about 10 minutes, but honestly, I will give props to Sigma. He's really good, like amazing for someone so young. Probably one of my best, not my favorite matches I've done so far this year.
Nice.
So really, when it comes out, if you can afford it and watch it, please do. It's one of my favorite matches, so I've done so.
Dude,
really happy and stuff. So that's what I say.
You've been building as well. The reason, obviously. I'm a massive fan of obviously like stories and building stuff, and this has been building up. Like I said, I've been at UKW for the last few weeks, and I kind of caught the tail end, obviously, of this story building up.
You kind of missed like the entire. Well, you got the good bit, you got the ending bit really so far, but that story's technically been going on for about like a year, maybe 2, if you include like Mercer beforehand. So it's been quite a long like story. It's been told.
Dude. But I'm all for that. If it's done well, then that's the kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It must be good for you guys as well, though. Having that kind of story, because you're not just turning up, you're not just working like an exhibition match. You're not trying to get the fans invested in something when there's nothing to be invested in. The fans are already invested because this story's being told. They're on the edge of the seats already. It must just make it not easier, but it just makes you're going to get a reaction out of them when stuff happens.
That's the thing. Like we've got a goal, we've got an idea. Like knowing what, like especially when you've been like in this case, we've been tag partners for a while now. So having that thing of like, oh, I know what this person can do, and then being able to like tell the story about like in this case, he's trying to outdo me, which I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that. I need to put him in his place. So that's the whole thing, and knowing how that works and having this build, having this story molded and grafted to our own liking, it's like it really helps out, and it's fun because then I can actually share the story with all these other people.
Oh, it's something for you to get your teeth into, innit? Like I said, nothing against exhibition matches. They're great. They serve a purpose. But any true wrestling fan will be able to reel off like a top 5 moments. Top 5. Some of those might be matches, but those matches will be a conclusion of a storyline kind of thing. So it's the moments that matter.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even like the basic stuff, even like the small moves, and the like, it might not mean anything to when you watch it on a first glance, but like it's the weight of what it's like. You can see a super kick so many times now, but like when like say Shawn Michaels super kicks Ric Flair WrestleMania 24, that has a lot more weight to it.
Yeah.
Than like one that a young buck might do.
But no, I mean, I was hyped for the build up that I saw of it. I'm going to try and get to watch the match in full because I need to. But then obviously I'll be there this Friday to kind of see the aftermath of the aftermath.
Yeah, but we will see about that. I'm not sure what's going on with that just yet, so we'll see.
No, man, but I'm excited. I like not knowing. I like, checking out. I'm always constantly looking at the Facebook thing on the Friday. Have they announced the matches yet? And then obviously they pop up about 1, 2 o'clock. And it's like, ooh, it's turned up because, like, obviously, I did last time I went. It was you against a certain young Horace.
Yep, young Horace. And I think the first time I saw you at UKW was the match against Yorkshireman as well. So.
It was that spear, dude. I was going to mention it at some point.
That spear, not bad for the second time on the show, I think.
Dude, obviously by internet magic, that spear will pop up on people's screens right now for them to see it, so they know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, you know my take on it. I saw you last week. I was talking about it. I was like, mate, that was freaking. It's very rare. It takes a lot for me to go ooh. And that made me go, ooh, that made me make a funny noise. So I was like,
oh,
who knows?
Make a reaction, that's all that matters.
But yeah, dude, obviously obviously another thing is, talking UKW, another thing, before I forget about it, before I get overhyped talking about that spear, obviously Blackheart, talking about Facebook and social media announcements. Blackheart today have announced their show this coming Sunday.
Yes,
you are in the skip a beat contract match,
which honestly quite a lot of good people in that, which I'm looking forward to. And also, a shot school title would be nice. Not gonna lie.
Exactly, man. You against Sean only at some point down the road.
That'll be good. I would enjoy that,
dude. That'd be awesome.
I'm kind of interested seeing how our styles would clash, but it'd be nice to see.
Yeah, that's the thing, because obviously I know you've obviously got that heel vibe going on, but you're not quite as bad as Sean only. Sean only is like the dastardly of he's like the Darth Vaders, of bad guys at Blackheart. So you'd probably get a good reaction on the basis of, nah, we might not like you, but we like you more than we like Sean only. So you might have to work based in that.
The necessary evil in that situation.
I've already put my flag down as well, dude. Obviously, I commented on it, being like, well, since I'm talking to Cliff tonight, I'm Team Cliff all the way. I'm rooting for. I ain't spoke to any of the other 4 guys, so that's it. I'll buy the T-shirt or hashtag it. I'm Team Cliff.
Team Cliff. I mean that on the Cliff side, if you will.
That's it. Leave it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But no, obviously that's just goes to show, Blackheart are a promotion. Obviously, I'm new to UKW, but I've followed Blackheart for a long time now. Anybody who's paying attention will notice the little work the left side logo on the match graphics, on the show graphics kind of thing. So we are closely associated, and I always like to shout them out whenever I get a chance to do. So yeah, that match will be awesome. But I always kind of get the vibe. It's just a great place to kind of go to. You must look forward to that first Sunday of every month. If you're going to be there, something to.
I always say it's like a holiday because I get to see old faces, meet new faces. It's a nice environment there. Like that. One thing I love about Batley is the Guiseley Theatre. It's such a lovely venue to work in. So I love the UKW one, but it's just I don't know when you got the balcony and you got all the people sat on the floor. It's just I don't know. It makes it a bit more grand for some reason. It just feels so much bigger.
That's the weird thing as well, because obviously the UKW arena, it's got a 20-foot ring in it, for God's sake. That's how big that is. But obviously, I know what you're saying about the Guiseley Theatre. The fact it's a theatre, it's kind of it has that sort of ambience. It's kind of got that atmosphere where you just you can just imagine some sort of great storytelling having been told there, or some great performances, having been witnessed. So, and to be there every month, it's just, it's awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate it taking me on. So I hope I can keep working with them and tell more stories. So that's been very nice.
You've been there for a while now. It's not like you've been. I was kind of call you
I think next month might be my first year in Blackheart.
Wow.
So I think I want to say it's that. Yeah, because I remember I debuted at Blackheart against J-Ro, which I love working with him. So I think what was it? He hit me with quite a vicious DDT, which he was very happy about that one. But
That J-Ro. But yeah, massive shout out to obviously J-Ro as well. It's not somebody I get a chance to shout out as often as I should do. So we will acknowledge the awesomeness that is J-Ro, and we'll give him a little salute.
Yeah.
But that's obviously, like I say, the whole Blackheart thing. But yeah, the fingers crossed. Like I say, we get Cliff versus Sean only. But then obviously, going forward technically, the Yorkshireman won a belt. I don't want too many spoilers, but I believe a certain Yorkshireman walked away with some gold at Aftermath.
I don't think it's much of a spoiler. I think it's been plastered everywhere at this point.
Yeah.
The Yorkshireman's definitely got the world title belt. Actually, I don't know if you've seen the video, but they've done the belt up. They've given it a nice white sash. It looks really good. Like match the Yorkshireman. Although I'm just gonna say I did beat him like 2 weeks ago.
That's what I was going to do. That was my segue.
For world champ could be good. Bring out the
Cliff
spear, maybe.
belts.
Who knows?
Cliff 2 belts. Yeah, UKW and Blackheart. Just see you stood there like that.
Oh, two. Oh man, that's like double world, isn't it? Like one worlds collide at that point.
Champion of Galaxy, the champion, or champion of the galaxy.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, so we'll get the generic thing asked, so it's out of the way. Obviously, I say it's out of the way. I make it sound like it's a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing because everybody's story is different. Everybody's kind of got an interesting take on what made them start wrestling. I've had so many different varied answers. So yeah, what made you? At what point did you kind of think, I want to give that a crack? What made you take those first steps through the school doors?
So I think I've got a quite similar start to some of the people, but I actually started off with the video games. So I knew like John Cena and I knew like certain wrestlers when I was growing up, but I really got into it with the video games. I remember I used to like on my PS2, I'd play like I think this is back when like PS2 was on its way out, PS3 was on its way in, and I was playing stuff like WWE SmackDown vs. Raw. That was my first ever wrestling game. So I got introduced to like like old school like proper Kane, and you got like Tajiri and like Regal, and I used to play Kane a lot in that games, and so like I got really into them, and then I'm like, oh right, this is really cool. And then obviously I then found stuff like everyone starts off with like they'll talk about like Raw and stuff like that. So from there it was from into YouTube clips, and I saw the clip with Edge and Mick Foley, the spear for the flaming table, and I thought, oh, this is cool, this stuff. Like I've just been playing games where I freaking throw people around and stuff. This actually happens. So that kind of like started off like the interest because Dan wants to watch more, and I couldn't afford Sky, so I remember like I want to say it was Friday. Yeah, Friday. I get some sweets. I have a little like beanbag chair, and I used to watch WWE Superstars. That was it, really? Superstars? Yeah. So like my guys were like Zack Ryder, or Matt Cardona, should I say? And it was like your Yoshitatsu and your like Chris Masters, and because I used to watch them weekly, they were like my guys at a point, and I like stuff like Tyson Kidd. So like when like, I got treated with like Brian Danielson and Rey Mysterio, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, and that's what also like that's why like William Regal's on. And you can't. I feel like if you are British, you need to watch William Regal. It's like a law thing, just because he's so good. Like, so it was from that, and then I thought, oh, I really want to give it a go. And everyone does the backyard stuff, but I remember it was something starting UKW. It was a post in the newspaper saying, "Oh, wrestlers in Horbury Road at the time." And from that point, I thought, I'll give it a crack. So that's kind of like the loose story. So like I said, really big into WWE Superstar and also TNA. TNA on Challenge.
Yeah.
Oh god.
That's what I was waiting for, because that's most people's kind of like, because I was exactly the same. I didn't have Sky back in the day, as well as, so I was like a massive. But I think that's why TNA was so popular in Britain, kind of thing. Whenever they came over here, they would sell out. They did so many big arenas, kind of thing, because it was free on Challenge. Every wrestling fan I knew, obviously, a lot of them watched WWE, but the ones who didn't, TNA marks. To this day, I still am a TNA mark. I still, it's crazy to think it's been around for like 20 years. I think it's been around longer. It's been around longer than WCW was.
It's crazy to think like some people I used to watch are now like retiring now. And I know time catches up with us, but it's still like that thought of like, we're getting to the end of like AJ Styles and well, Daniels retired this year, didn't he? Against Adam Page. And I'm like, but the fact I get to see these people and they've inspired me in some shape or form, it's like, it's so great. Like if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't find my favorite tag team, which was Beer Money. Like such a good team. I have 2 Beer Money shirts. One's like originally from when I was there at the time, and I bought, and then I had to get a new one because I love that shirt to death. And it was just falling apart from like training and stuff. It's just brilliant. I love Beer Money to pieces.
So overlooked. So many people never talk, because again, anybody who knows me knows I love tag team wrestling. I'm a massive fan of just tag teams in general. And yeah, Beer Money, probably one of my favorite teams. And they're not ones that get mentioned a lot. So
yeah, like,
it made me very happy to acknowledge Beer Money.
Well, the thing is, like, you watch like the Total 3 Falls match they had with Motor City Machine Guns. Beautiful, great match. And so, like, I could talk about that as well, and just the characters itself, the story they had. Like, I know 2010s was kind of bad, but 2010, 2012 wasn't the best storytelling for TNA, but the story between James Storm and Bobby Roode, where James Storm won the world title and Bobby Roode betrays him by hitting the glass bottle over his head, and it's like to win the world title. Like,
it was like a week later, wasn't it, or something, or 2 weeks later, or
it was
something.
a week later. Like, Bobby lost to Kurt, and then they built this James Storm feud up. It's like James Storm's trying to get it back, to like not only like avenge Bobby Roode, but to prove that he can do it. So like he beats like what was it? He beats Styles and he catches him with a super kick like out of nowhere, and then he has this match. I thought, let's see who wins. We didn't think it was gonna win, and it was the next week. He's like, right, me and you match. Okay, and then I can vividly see like Bobby Roode looking at this glass bottle.
Yeah,
like he's just eyeing it down, like, oh, this is my chance. And then, he had a pretty good world title run. I thought it did anyway. And then new music and everything like that.
It was glorious.
Glorious.
I apologise. But yeah, that's the thing back in the day with TNA and stuff like that. But just kind of stuff getting into it. But again, it always intrigues me when people, start wrestling. I was sort of saying you've kind of got these video games, you've got the TNA as points of reference or as an influence. When you first started, did you kind of have, because I've always asked this, like, because I presume, everybody kind of goes into wrestling thinking like, right, we're going to be the next Jeff Hardy, we're going to be the next freaking RVD, I'm going to do high flying stuff. They get in the ring, they climb the turnbuckle, and then some people are like, nope, I'm going to keep my feet on the floor. I'm going to change the style. I'm going to ground and pound. I'm going to be like a Kurt Angle. I'm going to be, Liam Slater. I'm going to be just pure wrestling. Did you kind of go into it thinking? Did you have an idea of what kind of wrestler you wanted to be?
Started, I was only like 15, 16. So like I had all these people I liked, and I'd probably say that at the time would have been Edge. I love Edge to pieces. He's like a guy I like a lot. It's him and Shawn Michaels. But at the time, so I did want to do a spear, but then it's like a lot of people do the spear, so I end up looking at like different moves at this point. And when you're young, you don't really know much. Like you can't. Like I used to do some high flying stuff. I could probably bring some of it out, but at the time, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I think I remember wanting to be a high flyer, and then I think it wasn't much like I was scared of the heights. It was more oh yeah, my body can't really turn that way or can't really do that. So I'm gonna have to look again. So it's only when because I went and left for uni, and I came back and I realized, all right, well, what's new? What's style like now? And it was more combos. It was more traditional wrestling. Like I love that type of stuff now. Like if anyone like wants to watch a more recent one of like grilling wrestling, that Saber match with Nigel McGuinness at Forbidden Door, like it like don't get me wrong, it's a very niche thing, and like people, a lot of people like will love like that type of wrestling, but it's brilliant. Like you can they say that they don't make anything stupid. They don't do like what's it called? They don't do your Canadian destroyers or anything like that. But
No,
the fact that it's all just great slams, holds. And they can tell that crowd behind them is brilliant. Like
I mean, you don't have to tell it to me. Again, anybody who knows me knows. Obviously, they haven't done it for a while, but True Grit had like a pure grit
yeah,
championship kind of thing, and they were contested over 3 rounds. It was pure wrestling sort of rules. Again, it's the kind of thing that splits people. I know some people are just like, hate it, bores me, not got any interest in it. I'm sat there just literally like tunnel vision, just watching it, and I'm just like,
that's the thing.
it blows my mind. It's just human chess. It's just trying to wrap me just
It's a
the
human
movement.
chess. Just trying to get that one hold in, catch him off
Yeah.
guard. It's like even then, like nowadays, it can be more flashier now. Like Saber's like the guy of like, okay, I can pick this limb, boom, 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 boom. But then you got your lucha. Your lucha libre isn't just high flying; it is like ground style as well. So
Yeah.
like when people incorporate that with it, it's so fun to watch. Like
Like
it's that part of it.
you generally, yeah, that's the kind of matches I could watch. Just just trying to watch people. You can see them kind of thinking like on the move, like doing this. No, that don't feel right. Right, okay, I'll try this. I'll escape. No, that hurts. Okay, well, I'll go the other way. Do we go left? Do we go right? Just the transitions. Everything is just. Yeah, I think again though. I'm one of the guys. I appreciate that stuff. I think that sort of stuff is just so good to watch. But I understand why some people, just like no, give me the flippy stuff. I'm lucky enough that I like everything.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, you mentioned Regal earlier. He's the master of that kind of just. Again, massive fan of Regal. I'm trying to think. I can't. If I can mention it, but I think one of my favorite ever matches was like it was at the Brian Pillman tribute show. It was Regal against He Who Shall Not Be Ever Mentioned Again. But him and Regal just had just a technical masterclass. I think I was in like 97, 98 or something, but it still stands up to this day. It's crazy.
It's like his matches with like Fit Finlay. Like people talk about like, is this real? And the thing is, we're hitting people, we're slamming each other. Like, of course, there's a reality to it. Like, there's a realness to it. But when you watch them and they're just murdering each other, they just want to take it like a tooth. They want to like girl. I have physical matches, but they were physical, and like you could easily enjoy every match for that. And these are, in the grand scheme of things, not big guys in a sense where they were. I think it was WCW when you had like your Hogans and stuff. So they just beat the tar out of each other.
Yeah.
And it's just unique stuff. Like, if we don't normally see, it'd be like Fit Finlay, instead of just going for like a waist lock, he'll grab the guy's trap and just try and tear it off and pull you down. Like, oh, okay. All right. Okay. I don't want to get in the ring with you. Bloody hell. But,
that works. Yeah, we'll do that. But yes, this kind of stuff, like I said, it's just that such a thin line between, obviously, wrestling fans, the older wrestling fans kind of know and appreciate it on a different level than the kids do. But you see matches like that, and even the older wrestling fans are watching it like second guessing themselves, being like, is this real? Are they legitimately just beating the shit out of each other? And yeah, those guys just worked it so well. But it's just one of those things. I just think I don't know if it was an if there's still people that can do that, but I think more people need to go back and kind of watch those kind of matches, look at those kind of guys, and kind of try to emulate it.
I think that nowadays it's the thing of like wrestling is more of an art form. I see it. It's very subjective, and like I love all type of wrestling. You know, if I want to watch a match, I happily watch the match with like Orange Cassidy, a more comedic match. But I also watch, like I said, you watch New Japan, and you're watching stuff like what was it, like Omega versus Osprey, or a match against Dave Kidd, like or Gabe Kidd, I should say, not Dave Kidd. And they're brutal, but the same thing. But then you can watch like WWE, and like you watch the story between like what Reigns and Rhodes, or more to a new extent, like the triple threat match between Reigns, Punk, and Seth Rollins. Like you can watch different things and appreciate different things from each match, and that's I think the beauty of it is
Exactly.
what you can do with it.
I know it's wrestling, and that's kind of classed as one form of media, but it's like watching a film. You know, you can enjoy comedy films, you can enjoy horror films, you can enjoy action films, and you take, you don't just watch one kind. So you can enjoy various different types of wrestling or different types of wrestling matches, whether it's more storyline based, whether it's your 5-star, Meltzer, New Japan Pro Dome,
5-star Meltzer's Tokyo Dome.
10-star match, whatever it is now.
Or you can watch more of a Jim Cornette classic, which
don't like the guy, but that's not a bad thing. Those kind of matches are also good.
Like I said, he has a place in this world, and he has his points. I agree with some of them, but
I hate myself saying it. I just don't like the person saying it. But
that's the thing. Like, thinking of the wrestling bit, he has all these good points, but at the same time, for some reason, he hates Kenny Omega. I'm like, don't agree with that one.
Well, he hates. It's when he sort of said at one point he sort of wished Orange Cassidy was break his neck on a suicide dive. That's
right.
Whatever you say from this point
agree with him, but like there's the thing I agree with in like wrestling in general, like the overuse of certain moves, which is a thing because they're cool. Let's be honest. You see a super kick, it's cool. If you see a Canadian, it's cool. But it is those things like, personally, if you ask me, if we had like a time where we kept them, like WWE is doing it right well now. So I think it's only Penta and sometimes Dominic will bring out the Mexican Destroyer, and they leave it for enough time. It's like, oh yeah, this is cool. Just keeping them like a little bit low every now and then. That's all you need to do. But I thought that's me anyway. That's my preference.
Yeah, no, I agree, dude. Because again, kind of, it goes back to the TNA thing. I can remember the first time I ever talked about the Canadian story, man. When Petey first hit that, mate, that was just legitimately mind blowing. I remember obviously seeing it at TNA. I'm old enough where I was going to 1PW the first time round, and I saw Petey at 1PW and hitting it in person. I was just like, oh my god, that is legitimately sort of. I'm sliding off my seat with excitement. This is crazy.
It's also things like, nowadays, I feel like, especially, I don't know if we have other people on, and it'd be quite interesting if you could actually ask this, but like, I feel like it's like a weird, maybe like a pressure or like a weird like standard when it comes down to a wrestling finish, because like, people want to do these more extreme stuff, and it's like, for every person does like the one-winged angel, people forget like a heart punch was a finish, the reverse STO, like Mr. Anderson, boom, finish. Like, it's that, like, I think that's the thing. Like, especially I felt that as well when like thinking, what do I want to do for moves and stuff. You see these guys do like F5 and stuff like that, 450s, and like, well, not everyone can hit that. Like, there's gonna be, in my case, there's gonna be a guy that hits an unprettier. There's gonna be the guy that hits a zigzag, but they still finish. Even it's not as dangerous.
Not as flamboyant or flashy. But that's the thing, man. I was going to sort of say, that's for you guys. When you're first coming into it, when you're working on the character, when you're working on, doing this, that, and the other. There's got to be that kind of, I don't know if it's a pressure or, if you're sort of second guessing yourself and being like, is this impressive enough to be a finishing move, like you said? But then you kind of pull it back. And I mean, big shout out to obviously RJ Singh, Jack Maxwell, the DDT, that is still that is a move that was obviously diluted for freaking years. You know, it started off as being amazing, and then everybody hit a DDT. Like pretty much like it was like the super kick of its time.
Yeah.
But if you like, I still pop for a DDT, especially if it's done like, you know, if the leg's swinging, to swing the leg up first before coming down, just to give it like a bit of
the like been planted straight on their head, and it's almost like a cartoon. Boom. Look, the thing with the DDT though, like, you know, Jake Roberts has gone on and said like he's happy to see the DDT, but the DDT's been evolved since then. Like there's many variations, like a suplex here. So many variations where like as far as I'm aware, you can only do the Canadian so many times, like in so many different ways. It's that same setup. But
it's just I always like the logic of, you know, everybody else might do this move, but I do it the best. That's why it's my finisher.
Yeah.
Nobody can do it as good as me. You know, that's why I think what Jake sort of said about the DDT kind of thing. He says everybody else can do a DDT. But there's only me that does it good enough for it to be a finisher, and it means something. Like, you know, I'm the best at doing the DDT. I like that logic of like, yeah, it might be a normal move, but I just do it so fucking well. It's my finisher.
I've always appreciated the Rhino version of it. It's like, oh well, you know, no one's, whenever they've kicked out with a spear. They haven't kicked out with a gore. They've kicked out with a spear. And it's like, you've got a point there. Like, you've got a point there. If they have, they've named it wrong. They've always kicked out of a spear, not a gore. But that's the thing. His gore is a big move.
Game over, done. Yeah, like just that logic of like sort of said, yeah, no, that wasn't. You know, you just tell the commentators or you tell anyone off afterwards, like, no, it wasn't a spear. That wasn't a goal. That was just a spear, mate. That was just a set up. You know, I'm just doing that to soften them up. I wasn't expecting a 3 count. I was just taking the piss. Now I'm going to hit him with the goal. Now it's over.
Oh yeah, and now just they're out for the count.
It's nearly as good as your spear, dude. But yeah, like I said, you know, that pressure when you're sort of like working on, like, you know, obviously because I've seen you kind of, I want to call it the unprettier because that's how I kind of obviously first learned about it.
Yeah, unprettier, kill switch. I call it something different, but
yeah,
that's a different story.
No, I've got to get to that. Obviously, that's what I was kind of sort of get to because Nikki kind of told me the history of, you know, the appreciation and love of the source kind of thing.
Yeah. So, I may have posted it, but when I do the unprettier, I refer to it as Maria, and it's all started back when I was still trying to find my character, and I had to do a promo, and the promo was something along the lines of like even at the time I wasn't sure where I was going with it. They wanted me to face. I was bad. I was a bad guy. Find my own way in. I was facing Johan Hunt, and he still is a bad guy in this situation. And I did this promo, and I think lines was something I had to say was, "Oh, you know, Johan, why am I face you? Well, it doesn't really matter because I'm not on the good side, not on the bad side. I'm on the cliff side." And then that's kind of where this like cliffside story thing came on, because I thought, oh well, I'm watching West Side Story, I like my theatre, and so it's build. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm getting this push, and I realized the finish I had at the time, no one really reacted to it, despite it was cooler. I would actually say like my first finish was cooler, but no one reacted. So I faced Tommy Dillon, hit him with a haluva kick, walked him out, hit the unprettier, boom. I'm like, oh, that worked. That was nice. That's a smooth. Made a joke saying I should call it something like, because I was originally call it something like the cliff drop, but then it's like, oh well, I could always call it something stupid like Maria, in like the full West Side Story, and well, it stuck. So, and you know, it gets a little bit over when you have people. Well, we've had a few of the guys downstairs like sing it, so. And you know, the fun thing to say, because like it's then playing on the term unprettier, because I'll go to, I think it was Brett Hadley at the time, was on commentary. I'm like, oh, when I go for it, as I'm pulling him around, say it's the most beautiful movie you'll ever see, and then I drop him with the unprettier, but Maria. So that's the story anyway.
Yeah, dude, no, that's awesome. Like I said, it's the wonderful world of wrestling where, you know, you personally think, you know, what you're doing in the first place is a lot cooler, it's a lot better, it's more impressive. but it's not quite clicking. So you try something else. You're like, if that's not going to work, this isn't going to work. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, that's worked. It just seems to be like, catching it at the right moment, the right fans being in attendance or just something, makes it connect. And the fans just like I said, just with the name, the singing, it's just it's wrestling.
That's actually, you might have seen my old finish because you watched the Horus match, didn't you? Watched the Horus match.
Yeah.
And you know that spine busher did?
Yeah.
Like, I put one hand, almost like a sky eye, and then dropped him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, boom. That used to be the finish. And then it's like, just people didn't know. People just didn't really care about it. I got the side effect over more. Yeah, I remember I'd have a match. And I'm like, all right, Cliff, this wins. Like, yeah, cool. So, I hit the side effects. Yeah, big reaction. Cool. Hit that spine buster.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Right. Side effects more impressive, apparently.
I just can't. I mean, again, it depends on. I'm talking to you about how I love, like DDT. I think the DDT and hitting the spine on the pine, the spine buster, are two of my favorite sort of old school moves. I love seeing still getting hit to this day, kind of thing. And the sky high, I kind of class as a variation of the spine buster, like I said. So yeah, I saw you do it to Horace, man. I popped. If the audience had been like just a room full of me, like a load of fucking crazy mental clones, mate, you would have got a huge reaction. The roof would have gone off. But yeah,
like I do slightly differently. I don't do both hands, but because I try to do it more like I'm going for like a choke and then go for it. Obviously, that's not made clear, but I do try to go for like almost like I'm going for a choke, so I'm into it.
well, I've still got footage. So again, by the internet magic or by the magic of the internet, the clip will pop up and we'll get to see you do it. But yeah, man, when you did it on Horace, not just because it was against Horace, I reacted. I was like, yes. And I was like, oh, okay, it's just me that's popped for that, I think. But then I sort of said, you just go for the unprettier. Everybody was telling you that you're not Christian, and then you hit the spear. And I was like, yes, bosh.
That's all right. I get a bit the Christian thing. I mean, the guy's a good person to look up to.
Dude, this will be where we don't disagree, but this will be a future discussion at some point. But I love Edge. Don't get me wrong. I'm a massive, massive fan of Edge. I've always rated Christian higher. I've always thought Christian was the better wrestler out of the two. Edge had the better character. He had the connection. But for me, Christian was a better worker.
I don't think I like Edge. I feel like Edge was a better. I think Edge had that connection, and like you said, he had that connection. And I don't think he's a bad wrestler. He's
he's good.
He's good, but to me, I remember when I used this is when Edge retired, and so Christian took over. He was doing that world title run. And I remember watching it. I was excited to watch Christian. I was excited to watch Ed, but I was excited to watch Christian because he got that his flowers at that point. And if you talk about underrated matches, Christian versus Orton, I think SummerSlam, that was a great match, and he gets the RKO onto steel steps, and it's sad that he lost like that, but still.
That's the thing. It just after he came back as well from his run in TNA, because Captain Charisma, that was kind of his return. Like I said, because Edge retired. I think unfortunately a lot of people just kind of thought it was a pity belt. They kind of gave him the belt because they couldn't give it to Edge, and it was just kind of undermined Christian a little bit. But his feud with Orton for me is like one of the best feuds Orton's had. Orton's been around for a long, long time, but Orton's feud with Christian, that's at the top of Orton's work.
Well, it's that, and if you recent day, his feud back in AW with Edge, that was Cope, if you want to call him Cope, that was great. But even to a less extent, when he portrays Jungle Boy, that story is a good one. He betrays Jungle Boy, and then Jungle Boy, I watched him, and he's having this lights out match or whatever with him, and I remember watching it in the hits concerto, just Jungle Boy. I'm like, oh, he's not a jungle boy anymore. He's like a jungle man.
Jungle
Like
Man.
he's gone to that point now. He's had to be pushed to that. Like, and then that kind of led into the whole scapegoat thing. Like, so that's the thing. Even though he might lose, or even then, he's one of the few people to beat Kenny Omega for a title.
Yeah.
So like, so that type of stuff.
We can both appreciate Christian. That's fine. Like I said, I thought that was going to be a little bit of a hot take, but I'm glad that we kind of we can sort of give Christian some love.
Honestly, I could talk about Christian all day.
I do. Well, I might do at some point, but obviously another name I kind of, because I'm watching it again. I hate comparing people to other people, because it's kind of like, I don't want it to be like, oh, you're trying to be like them, or you think like you're the next version of them, or I know you're not the next Christian, you're not the next Edge, you're not the next Jericho, you are Cliff Harrison version 1. That is. But when I look, I kind of mean it more as a compliment. When I'm looking at you in the ring and I'm watching you moving around, your mannerisms and stuff, I'm just like, I just get a massive Jericho vibe. Lionheart, WCW, Jericho vibe.
I've had that before, actually. I still, I'm not really getting the Jericho vibes on it, but like, I've heard you have to do your research, really, and I have looked at Jericho. I think his work's brilliant. Even like right now, where this might be a hot take, but his work as the learning tree, even though yes, it is bad. I think that's the point. But the point is, even though it's him like, oh, really cringy, and he's like the champion in New York, whatever, you hate him. So that's good. Like, he's doing his job. The more you like cry about like, oh, is he too much like screen time? Like, that's good. You don't want you don't want him on. You don't like him. He's doing it like like, so like that stuff. I've always found funny. And even then, like, there's that bit where have you seen that clip where he's insulting a kid in the crowd, and he's like, this kid's calling him all names. It's like, oh, these are abs, you idiot. And then the kid just happens to have like a 6-pack. He's like, oh, okay, I don't know what to do there. Just like walks off because he's like, right, we can beat it here. But it's honest, it's a funny moment like that. Like,
but again,
he's just showing him.
He's just somebody who gets it. I love the mentality of, I think it was like 2008, 2009, whenever, the suit and booted Chris Jericho turned up, kind of used inspiration from No Country for Old Men, when he's talking very sort of quietly and kind of precisely on the microphone kind of thing. And during that run, he didn't have any merch, because in his mind, his logic was, if I'm the bad guy, why would somebody want to buy my merch? I'm not going to have any merch for them to buy, because they should have won it. And that's always something that kind of stuck with me. That's always kind of like, that embodies his mind for wrestling for me.
And it's the thing, like wrestling now is, it's weird because, like, yeah, I think it's a good point. Why should the bad guy have merch? You don't like them, you shouldn't want to buy it.
No.
We're in this phase where like wrestling's a lot more like grey. So there's, like, you have your your black and white, your dark heel and your glorious baby face, whatever you want to do it. But there is more elements of grey. There's like, you look at people like Adam Cole, great heel. People love him. And then you can look at the alternative. Like, you had people like, what was it? Like Roman Reigns. We all hated Roman Reigns at one point.
Well, he was a good guy.
This whole thing, and now we love him.
Yeah.
And so, like, it is that elements of grey, which is kind of bringing it all together. So, like, if I did bring like a shirt out, if you want to buy it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. That's the thing. If I'm a heel, you want to cheer me, you cheer me. That's how I've seen it. So I'm going to be a bad guy, but you got a choice if you want to cheer me.
That's it. As a heel as well, though, like, you could always kind of work it as in like, well, if you're stupid enough to buy my merch, crack yourself on, kind of thing. Don't mean I like you. I'll just think you're an idiot for buying my t-shirt. So
obviously they just understand that character.
Yeah.
Like, I've always said, like, I remember I was doing a show and like everyone's booing me, but this one kid's like, oh, you got it, Cliff. I'm like, thank you, random child. At least someone gets it. Like, He gets it. And yeah, I was making the point. This kid gets. He knows who's the real the best wrestler in this ring is.
The rest of you are idiots, except for this one kid. This one kid's awesome. The
Yeah,
rest of you
it's like all of them booing me. It's just this one kid that understands it. Which, so, like I say, I miss those days. Now that I just get kids trying to pull my hair now, so it's a different thing.
just that one kid, man. Where's that one kid? It should always be just that
It's
one
that
kid.
one
Every
kid.
show.
He's been betrayed again.
Just Team Cliff. No, we need the Team Cliff. Just that one kid in there. Just one person by themselves with a t-shirt on that says hashtag Team Cliff. That's it. Every show.
Cliff on the cliffside.
Yeah, oh, that could be on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. But yeah, obviously, you know, that's like I said, but that's the improvisational. That's another thing that always amazes me, you know, like about the wrestling and stuff. Obviously, you guys work so hard on, you know, learning the moves, learning the foundations, the basics, the psychology. It just blows my mind. But there's a massive part of wrestling that I think kind of gets kind of not overlooked or not acknowledged is the ability to improvise. You know, you kind of got to be able to. I mean, not everybody's got it. Not everybody does. I suppose, you know, some people go out there with like a mindset and stick to it. But realistically, you've got to react to the crowd. You know, you've got to see what the crowd are doing and kind of, you know, help the crowd follow you. You know, you got to improvise in the ring, depending on what the atmosphere is like.
Well, like an example would be WrestleBration of this year. So lead up, like the story will lean towards me and Sigma down the line, and the Easter WrestleBration in this TLC match, and I've been getting booed for like the past month or so, if not more. You know, I had an unsanctioned match with Sebastian Mercer, so I went through all that. I've kind of solidified for myself as, oh, this guy is going to be kooky, is getting a bit, you know, aggressive. So I'm getting booed. We're still using the same music, you know, the Breaking Ball Studios music, and I guess Celebration. We're using the Bracer music, the BBS music, and I know they're cheering Sigma, but I was still out there and I was still cheering me. And I'm like, oh, I can fucking I'm gonna have to like play along with this here because it feels a bit wrong not to. And then when I do betray Sigma, oh, hearing the kid going, "Why would you do that?" Like, it's like
Right there. Got you.
Like, just like I said, like, you just put your man at that point if you're that easy to be manipulated. So like, but it is the crowd that's, you know, it's working with it.
Exactly. Which, like I said, it's just the ability to improvise, which I think, you know, obviously, again, you know, I've spoken to lots of people, you know, they've always like, they've always kind of sort of, anybody who's had like martial arts training, getting into wrestling, they've kind of said that kind of helps. But I'd always kind of presume as well, anybody who's got like a performance background, anyone who did, you know, like drama or theatre or
Yeah.
anything like that, that's got to be a massive kind of like, you know, you starting a few steps ahead of other people. Because it's like people who I've talked to that have been in a band, or you know they've performed on a stage in a band, whether it be singer, drummer, guitarist. You know they're used to having the eyes on them. They've kind of got that stage presence already. So I think it's that kind of thing that puts you a few steps ahead straight out the gate.
Yeah, like I agree. It's like I had more of a theatre background. I did UCSC theatre, drama, should I say, which I remember what they're changing to different subjects. My drama teacher was not very impressed that I didn't follow the theatre route. So if he does end up watching this, Mr. Paler, I am doing some form of a theatre. This might not be what you expected.
Sports entertainment.
Like that bit, it's just kind of like understanding, like projection, when you talk to people, and like dealing with stuff like mics breaking. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you settle the situation? Like, it's that is very important. And like, because the thing is, like, we can go out there and someone could be hurt, and it's that thing of, oh crap, what do we do? How do we solve this? And so theatre very useful. Like, because it's like I said, a MMA guy could have this background come in, and he's legit. It's really cool. But then he fails to like connect because he needs to connect with the fans. Because in the end, that's who's wanting to watch. That's the people who want to see you, is the fans. So, good guy,
That's
bad
it.
guy, we want to make that connection.
It's having the presence, like, so it's having the confidence in front of an audience to have that presence, to have that customer, like I said. Yeah, it's just another thing that obviously kind of intrigues me is when people, get into wrestling and they're on the journey. We've kind of mentioned, you kind of got into it in the video games, TNA, WWE. Was you aware? Because again, this is an answer that kind of a 50-50 split where, I'll ask some people and then be like, I had no idea British wrestling was even a thing, until they got into it. Or, some people got into it because they went to British wrestling shows. So, before you kind of stepped through those doors, was you aware of the scene? Do you get to go to many shows as a fan still?
See, so forgive me, I am still quite. I do know like the British wrestling scene. I'm not very knowledgeable with the British wrestling scene. I want to know more, but I get pretty bad with names and stuff like that. So like I do forget. But I remember at the time, I didn't really know, and I had a feeling that it would be British wrestling. But like the British wrestling I knew when I was a kid. I remember like I was getting into it. I was playing the video games, watched WWE, and we went to Butlins. And it'll be the Butlins. Well, it's still wrestling. But I remember I was out there. I'm thinking, why does it sound like a Rey Mysterio mask? Like, no, Rey Mysterio's not in there. Why does it sound like a Rey Mysterio mask? Like, it Butlins. But you learn in like, at time when I was kind of like, as a kid, turn my nose to it. It's more of like, no, they're just doing the same thing. It's just different crowd, different people. It's not the WWE. It was Butlins. It's different crowd. So like knowing that, I think now I'm learning more about like the British indie scene. I am informed a lot more by certain people. So it's kind of nice and kind of seeing what is needed.
Well, that's it. I mean, there is no wrong answer to that, obviously, because no amount of knowledge is bad. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody learns something. If you know 5 promotions, 50 promotions, it's still you're kind of aware of the scene. But yeah, the wrestling camp is kind of like I know a lot of people. If you ever get a chance to do it, kind of thing, it's kind of like it's like boot camp. It's like you just kind of 6 weeks on one of those things is like 2 years, worth of experience or something crazy like that. You're doing it like 3 times a day. And as you sort of said, with the holiday camp crowd, most of them are there. They're not even wrestling fans. They're just there to keep the kids quiet for an hour or 2 hours kind of thing. So you get a chance to work on the character. You kind of get to see what works, what doesn't work. It's basically pantomime with slams.
It's like, I've always said that it's like, when you watch wrestling, it's just a soap opera, just with better fight scenes.
Dude, that's how I was trying to get my mate to watch it for years and years and years, and he was like, "No, it's crap. It's for kids." Blah 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 blah. And then for some reason, I don't remember. He kind of watched it. He had like an epiphany, and the next time I saw him, it's like, "Oh mate, did you watch this match? Did you watch this Raw? Did you watch this SmackDown?" I was like, "Mate, you don't even like wrestling." It's like, "No, I figured it out. I've got it sussed. I know how to approach it." I was like, "Go on then." So it's just like fucking EastEnders, but instead of every soap's got a pub, or every soap's got a bar, and it says in wrestling, instead of it being a pub, it's a ring. All the action happens in the ring. And then shit happens outside of it, and then it all kind of comes together in the ring, whereas normally it happens in a pub. And I was like,
great. Just the difference is, instead of watching, say you watch UKW, instead of us having the Phil Mitchell, we've got a Sebastian Mercer. So that's like that's the difference.
That's it.
Like,
just that logic. That's it. I was like, mate, if that works for you, if that's how you kind of get it, that helps you to understand how it works.
I've always said it.
I love that logic.
As it's either the soap opera one, or for those people who are a bit more inclined, I've always said it's like real life anime. Because it's 2 guys just shouting at each other, getting hyped up to hit some cool move, which has probably been named to then deal with some sort of story that's been led to that situation. So like, that's the closest thing to it.
Well, we've got 2. I'm going to throw another one in the mix where I always I think it's there's such a huge crossover appeal between comic books and wrestling.
Yeah.
most wrestling fans I know are massive comic book fans. Most comic book fans. That's why I was really like shocked with this mate I was on about years ago. He was a massive comic book fan. Me and him love comic books, and the only thing he didn't like was the wrestling. I could never figure it out. But it's the comic book thing is also a great, it's good guy versus bad guy, or there's kind of that grey area sometimes, but it's the larger than life characters. It's the stories that are being told. You always kind of have that big blow off issue after like 6 or 7 where they're just building it up, and you get the blow off, the payoff, and it's comic books, but in a wrestling ring.
Oh, definitely. It's it's like I said, it's that story being told. It's brilliant, and they also, now it's a bit more close to home now anyway, because it's like I've seen videos of, what is it, Spider-Man fighting Rhino in the ring. So like, yeah, it's coming full circle now.
Well, that's it. You got wrestling in comic books and comic books in wrestling, and everything. But again, we've got the anime thing. It's just the form of entertainment. It's just another way. It's a medium of, if it's done right, it's just a great way to tell stories. You've got these larger than life characters. You've got guys to cheer. You've got guys to boo, and it's just, yeah. Again, anybody who knows, I'm kind of preaching to the crowd here. Anybody who's watching this is already a massive wrestling fan. I don't need to explain it to them. So apologies. I've just kind of wasted 5 minutes of your time explaining how great wrestling is. But yeah, so, you mentioned earlier, sorry, gone around the houses here. Let's talk about the character, like you mentioned the West Side Story kind of connection.
Yeah.
Is this always kind of the character you had in mind, or, I kind of guessed, there's got to be that kind of flexibility. You might come in now. It's like I said earlier with the moveset, you might want to do these moves and then you kind of transition into another sort of moveset. You kind of come in thinking like, I want my character to be like this. That's not quite connecting. Let's kind of try this instead.
See, so I kind of, because obviously you never know what's really going to go on. So, like with the whole Cliffside Story thing, like I think I remember I never had that one moment of going like, oh, this guy's a good guy now. I was still kind of like, I was just getting cheered until like I was like, oh, right, he's good. Like, right. So I was always like a cheeky chappy, like more like a cheeky good guy. I'd still do some, I won't say did cheaty stuff, but I did some stuff like, oh, if I was a bad guy, you'd boo me for.
Yeah.
Like early on, I used to do, this is what I used to do. I used to set up for the 619, second rope, hung up. I'd get people going like, yeah, come on, I'd do the full taunt, hit the ropes. And all I'd do is I'll slide out and get slapping in the face. And then like what was that one? I'm like, I thought I'd do the 619. Like, why do you expect me to do that? But like, it's just stuff like that. Like, and I'd always get beaten up afterwards, but so it works out in that way, I guess. But as the character evolves, I didn't turn heel. I mean, when I was a good guy, I was a Genesis champion, and I turned heel down the line. It's trying to find out what that character would be. Now, like how I am right now, totally different to how I started from in like UKW anyway. Like, I would probably say myself a lot more vicious, a bit more brutal, should I say. But I've also learned that I do like more like the ground thing. So to me, yeah, you could either have that thing. I know many people like have the idea of like, yes, The Undertaker, yes, I want to be like John Cena or Edge. All I wanted to be really was a smart wrestler, someone that can take advantage of it. That's the only thing I wanted to walk with. It didn't make sense to me. Why would I do it? Like and that's what I'm more like. Some people work from the heart, right? And you can do that. You can have a character, even if he's a smart character, like look and think, I'm going to assess this. Is this worth me doing a suicide dive? If it is, then it is. But then this other character's like, oh, I'm just going to do it. Okay. Go on, jump. But that's all I wanted to do. I remember I just wanted to be a smart wrestler.
That just resonates, the whole William Regal thing for me. Like we mentioned it earlier, he was, again, I'm mentioning sort of Regal. I've said this numerous times now, and apologies again for people who do come back and watch more than one episode. I'm repeating myself, but a few years ago when he was in AEW, he was doing a podcast. I think there's like 7 or 8 episodes out there. Can't remember what it was called, but he spent 40 minutes talking about the importance of a pinfall. Just the legitimate, just making a pinfall look legitimate. Being smart enough to make it look like you're trying to win the match. At the end of the day, you're in there for a fight, but you're in there to win. Anything but a full efforted pin undermines everything else in the match.
Yeah, that's the thing. We are trying to win, whether it's for like glory, whether it's for to prove a point, or whether it's for a title.
Yeah.
We are there to win. Like, don't get me wrong, there is gonna be moments where you might take that and not go for it, but then that's what the story's for.
Yeah.
Like, it could be a lapse of judgment. It could be whatever is need to be. So, I think it might be you've kicked out something you never thought they'd kick out of. You're gonna have that bit of like, right, what's the next thing I'm gonna do? Like, it's that moment, like, you're gonna try and win, but it's like someone brought up, like, well, why does Bret Hart do a power driver and not win? Or why does he always go for stuff like that? I'm like, why does he always pin him? I was like, it's not just the fact that you're pinning him trying to win, but you also have to expel energy to get out. It's to push a full person off your body. Eventually, if you do it to someone that's not prepared for it, you're gonna be like, okay, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered, you win.
Yeah, that's the obviously I've just kind of gone on there about making a pinfall, but then the counterpoint to that is just you've seen it numerous times where somebody goes for the pinfall, they get kicked out, and then they go for it again, and then they go for it again like 3 times in a row, and the commentators obviously do their job by explaining, oh, he's just trying to tire him out, he's trying, like you said, he's trying to make him expel gas, he's just trying to knacker him out kind of thing. So he knows he's not going to get the pinfall, but he's trying to wear him down.
This is the same as when someone puts a submission on, like on the arm, and then you then lead to the finish submission. Just weakening the arm, so it's easier for the end. It's not as caught on as much as a submission situation.
That's all part of the psychology. That's like what I mentioned earlier. That's the whole thing that blows my mind, is just the whole being able to tell, sort of stories, having that kind of understanding of realizing that everything means something, or even the slightest little thing that you do. Key thing is, you mentioned it earlier, about the 619. Like, even when you was face, you could slide out, give him a bit of a slap, and if he was a heel, yeah, you're getting booed for that. But as a face, that is, I've always sort of said Eddie Guerrero. It's a perfect example.
It's a bit more like a comedic spot.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that Eddie did, even when he was face, was heel. But because he turned around and looked at the audience afterwards and gave him a smile or a little cheeky wink, they was just like, "Oh, you rascal!" And it suddenly became a face thing. How could you boo this guy?
Well, like, the modern version is MJF. When he does his face run with Adam Cole, it was the exact same stuff. Like, he did an entire match with FTR where he was like, "I'm gonna kick you in the balls." That's it. You can't do that though. You can't do that. And in the entire match, it got to the point where I want to say it was like Adam Cole inadvertently distracted the ref. Dax Howard gets hit with I want to say it was the Shattered Dreams in the corner, and I'm like, he's finally done it. And everyone was like, yes! He got him. Finally. But even then, like, it's that thing of like, it's what people react to. Whether it be a little bit funnier, it's also that thing of like, does it fit for that person? You know what I mean?
It's what you do after the move. It's not so much the move itself, it's what you do after the move that kind of gauges the reaction. Like I say, if you give them a wink or a smile and they know you're being a bit cheeky about it, they'll laugh, they'll clap, they'll applaud. But if you look at the audience, like, just freaking in a menacing way, they're like, "Whoa, no, you can't do that. That's bad. You didn't do it and wink at us. You did it mean. You didn't do it jokingly."
Like, even in like it's just how it receives. Like, what was it? I used to do like a Hurricane Runner from the corner, like the Mickey James one. She used to do it. And the good guy, it still works. It's a flashy move. And I did both as a good guy as a bad guy, and I then do like I lie down on my side and do like a bit of a peeing like one of your French girls like pose. It's funny. It's a face. Oh yeah, you got him up. If I'm doing it as a heel and I'm all I do, I might do is it like Nable or something what it's called, and they do that. You do that, and they hate you. It's the smugness then. Went from like, oh, cheeky to, oh no, this is a smug.
No, it's too far.
Guy.
Too far. That's just one star. That's it. You've done it now. No, yeah. You're too cocky. You're too full of confidence. You're too smug. No, we can't cheer you anymore. And again, that's the psychology. That's like I said. It's just crazy that just little things, here and there, make a huge difference. As well as, like I said, the character that's telling the story. It's just, mate, the fact that you kind of learn all this. It's not just learning the moves. It's not just learning, working safe, protecting yourself. Doing this, that, and the other. You've kind of got to go in there and just remember. You've got to remember the character. It's just it blows. As a fan on this side of the curtain, it just so much level of appreciation. That's it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like from my experience as well as like a wrestler dealing with a fan, there's many people like you have to be careful with as well. Because there's going to be that one person that's going to you can only give so much out. You can throw a lot of you. You got to have that bit of a tough skin for it, but you can only throw so much out. So like to especially annoy someone, you have to like be like, oh okay, I can say this. He's going to get me in trouble. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not say that one. And that's the other thing I have to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, it's walking the line. Right, I've said I'd keep you for about an hour, which I've done. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, it was actually time gone by.
Yeah, hello, man. It's just kind of like I just looked. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, I better look. It's probably about halfway through. Oh shit. Oh, right, it's been an hour. Right, you sort of said earlier, you're working. As soon as we're talking about, like being able to get away with stuff, depending on what the character is, face or heel. Do you have a preference? Do you prefer being the vanilla, the good guy? Getting the cheers, or do you prefer being able to be a little bit gnarly and, like, say, call everybody else in the audience except for that one kid? Massive melts or plebs or whatever.
I think I enjoy being heel. I enjoy being a bad guy. I do find it funny when I have like a child say I'm Satan, or like I had a child once wish me. I've had a child call me Satan. I've had a kid wish I drank poison. I think that's hilarious. But at the same time, I do miss being that babyface sometimes. Like I think it's the thing of because I've not done it in a while.
Yeah,
because I know I can do it. Like it's just a thing of I wouldn't mind doing that again one day. So that's why I like the whole version thing. Like if I'm gonna play a little bit of babyface, I don't mind because it's been a while.
I want a face turn at Blackheart, especially when you win the Skipper Beats contract match. Like I want face.
If I win the Skipper Beat, I doubt.
When
there's a lot of good names in there. Cayman's in there.
Oh mate, I'm not besmirching anybody else in in the match. They're all 4 quality people. But
yeah, they're all brilliant people.
I've spoken to you, so you like sort of said, I planted my flag. It's when you win.
Win, I win. Yeah, that's what we need. We need the confidence. We need to put that in. Win, I win.
When
I become world champion.
Exactly.
So then we can see a Cliff be a world champion then.
Cliff Harrison, I can see being a champion, not just Cliff. We'll call it our class as Cliff Harrison.
Cliff Harrison's the champ.
Cliff Harrison, champion. That's got me. I just said because obviously with UKW, it was just on the graphics when they put the name on the graphics. It was just like I say, it was just Cliff, and I was just a bit like, mate, obviously, I've had this conversation with you kind of thing, and I was just like, you're awesome, but I can't ever sort of see just Cliff as world champion. I can see Cliff Harrison as world champion because
Cliff Harrison is just, let's be honest, people go, it's the same thing. You like with a lot of names, we can say Eddie Guerrero, but we do just say Eddie.
Yeah. Again, I suppose in hindsight, looking at it through like going back, you'd be like, Eddie, world champ? No, but yeah, obviously Ray
world champ.
Ray, Dave, Big Dave, world champ.
Dave.
John, fucking hell,
Hunter.
got a job.
Oh, I think that works. He is
Hunter
the TV
works.
champion. But I
I'll
mean,
take
Hunter has Helmsley.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, to be fair about it, if they dropped the Hunter, just George. Oh yeah, George is champ. Oh cool,
yeah,
George from
George
that.
champ.
Yeah, George. So yeah, Cliff Harrison. Cliff Harrison is champion. I'll take. Don't having Cliff,
That'll be good. I think I've a bit of fun with that. I think.
dude. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Like I said, it's kind of thrown by. I've lost track. But let people know. If you want to shout out your Instagram account so people can go give you a follow if they're not.
We'll try and post a little bit more, but for more wrestling content from me anyway, is at the Cliff Harrison. I believe I do have my TikTok I haven't checked in a while. Is at the Cliff side. So just check stuff like that. If I got it wrong, I'll make sure to send a message just in case. So
we'll tag you in it anyway. But I'm going like that with TikTok. Well, to be fair, TikTok's awesome for like wrestling and stuff. It's not just. I think TikTok. I just think random dance routines. But obviously, it's a visual source of media, which is what you need for wrestling. Instagram and TikTok are probably like the best two forms for you guys to use because it allows people to see what you're doing, what you've done. Obviously the highlight reels and stuff like that are just amazing. So obviously, if you're not following Mr. Harrison on Instagram, please do so. Obviously, my boy Ash, who runs our Instagram account, is in Copenhagen for a few days for a festival, I believe. So the Work the Left Side Instagram account is going to be quiet for the next several days, but I will post on my account that this episode is uploaded. So yeah, please obviously follow Cliff if you're not already. And as I will always say, thank you for watching. Keep your eyes peeled, hit like, subscribe, share, comment, all the generic stuff we always ask you to do. Got some more guests to announce. I've got a couple of people lined up. Got a few more people waiting to get back to me. So we'll hopefully, fingers crossed, trying to sort out Jack Bennett. So he'll be on soon talking death matches in Japan and Fight Factory and stuff. So yeah, one last time, Cliff, thank you so much, mate. It has been a genuine pleasure. And everybody else, thank you for watching and always work the left side. Goodbye.